Wait a minute. Hang on. Oh, 1 second. No, I don't want you to play another song. Do you want to click on the right thing? But I'm sitting down. Speech! Well, I'd like to thank my mother and my father for buying my first computer when I was 9, thus enabling me to rage quit and get angry at games at a very early age. Quake and Doom. I used to play Doom. I got an Amstrad 386 or 386 of some description. That was like a hand-me-down from my brother. It was without a mouse as well. The mouse had got broken. I installed a maths coprocessor when I was like 9 into it. It gave it it allowed me to play, I don't know, plebs or something. Good days, good times. My first PC was I was playing Quake on it. Original Quake. I can't remember exactly when that was. Probably when I was about 11. I'm 33 now. I still play computers. Oh, I hope everyone's doing okay today. I've got a lovely cup of tea because I'm British, and I can only enjoy tea from the colonies for another few days before we leave Europe, and we don't have any supplies of anything. Just a barren wasteland. A lot of people crying, and that's just in my house. I hope everyone's doing well. So today I wanted to talk about whatever fucking questions people wanted to ask in chat. That's a given. Is the volume all right? I hope the volume's okay. Please tell me if it is. I'm processing the audio with a little compressory thing. Did beat me, good job. 486 is your first PC. Fucking, we had 386s, mate. 2 megahertz, and we were happy. Yeah, so I want to talk about 3.5 because, you know, the next big content we've got. We're probably going to be getting Evocati going to 3.5 later this week. Thursday or Friday would be my expectation of that. And that's probably going to be mostly just the new flight model. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Argo SRV. We'll talk about tractor beams. People have been talking about a content drought at the beginning of each year. Content drought in general on YouTube typically as well. But CIG and gameplay content droughts. I don't agree in the same way, as in people seem to have subscribed to this idea all at the same time. This is just the natural wave of things. It is a piss take, however, that we didn't have calling all devs throughout January, and now they've basically said we're not doing calling all devs anymore, which I hope they will change their minds on. Calling all devs was my favourite show. Around the Verse has been getting shorter, and I didn't mind it being a bit shorter because they were concise and they were just dropping in some cool bits, but they seem to be skimping a little bit on ATV as well. I want it at least 10 to 12 minutes long, and I want there to be a reasonable amount of cool and not just fluff. No problem with fluffing, but I'm in a weird mood today, probably tell. But bring back Calling All Devs. That's a great show. And with Reverse the Verse, I really liked the fact they had an interview with Aaron Roberts the other week. That was really good, and they split that in half. Design questions are always great because people always want to know what's going on with a particular mechanic, or what's going on in the future, or how this is going to work, or what's the current view on this, because that gives people context for how the game's going, and we want to be part of the project. That's the joy of Star Citizen. We can be part of the project. We can be part of the input and the iteration and the bug fixing and every part. So my sources told me 3.5's cancelled. Can you elaborate? Well, cancelled means it's not happening, and your sources are wrong. Got Gravity. Oh, you mean in game? Oh. Well, there's sort of... Okay, there's going to be... The new atmospheric model, I suspect, will feel a lot more gravity-like in atmosphere. I'm not having problems with content drought, Ronin. There's so much for me to still cover. I haven't even really poked at lore much. But when I do lore, I was thinking, I should do a bit of Star Citizen lore. It's only going to be lore in context, I think. It will either be a compressed guide to this is where you are in the universe and this is what's sort of like happening, or it'll be this is the Star Citizen, this is Crusader, this is Arc Corp, this is whatever, and this is it in context of the lore, so you can get sort of like a deeper understanding of what's going on that you can actually use in game. People don't want. Some people love lore, and some people just go, I can ignore that. But in a lot of places, if it's in context, people will find it more interesting. At least that's what I feel. If you want to ask a question about anything, whether it's about me, whether it's about my content, whether it's about, I don't know, your problems with your love life, or probably more appropriately Star Citizen, but I don't mind anything, put question in front of it, will help me pick it out. If I haven't answered your question for a very long time, and I'm not talking about 2 minutes, because I'm going to be about 5 to 10 to 15 minutes behind in chat, because I am literally the worst, then you feel free to re-ask it. At the very worst, I'll read your question a couple of times and be like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've already read this. So the 890 jump, as far as I'm aware, hasn't grown massively. It's reasonable sized. Probably grown a little. I wouldn't expect it bigger than sort of like between 150 and 170 sort of thing, even if it has grown. Right, let's go through some of these question bobs. Oh, you want links for Evocati? Unfortunately, I'm an Evocati member, and as such, will not leak any Evocati information. One of the sort of like NDA goals is to protect the leaks as well. So I don't really cover them. Noobify will though, and I'm happy to link his content. What's the Pedro Camacho score used in the Big Guns of the UE video? Don't know. You can poke Pedro though on Twitter. He loves talking about his work. He's very humble and very talented, and I love his face. As far as I'm aware, the 890 jump hasn't grown massively. But, I mean, we can have a look at the 890 jump as well. Bam. Who's got good dopamine? What's his name? Dopamine. You know, just chilling out with me while I look. YouTube videos. Bear with me 1 second.
Cyclo.
Here we go. Bring this up. Bum, bum, bum. Stop. Right screen? Still the right screen? Yeah, that's still the right screen. That's good. Bam. Bam. So, 890 jump. Having a little bit more work than this now. But it's obviously got all of the 600i sort of accents and the new 300 and Origin. Where it says, where it was saying here, that's where turrets are going. Hard to get a understanding of the scale of the ship though. So it could have grown. Don't know why that tree is blowing in the wind. But don't know why. Those are stairs. That's a little medical bay. It's got a little bit of everything, the 890 jump. Not like the Carrack, which literally has a bit of everything. And this is the Carrack now. There might have been the medical bay on the Carrack before. I don't fucking know. Pretty sure the 890 jump's got a medical bay now. The Nom Nom area. The bridge. The old Carracky boy. The mapping table again. I do think the Carrack is probably the ship I'm most excited for, though, this year. By far. Reasonably excited by the 890. The 890 is probably just below it. It's a capital ship that's actually viable to run. If you want to go check out Gratina, this person's YouTube channel, they do Star Citizen Dopamine. And basically what they do is they get all the pretty pictures and stuff out of ATVs and that sort of stuff and upload it as a video. Very useful for looking at stuff. Check that out. As far as I'm aware, the 890 hasn't increased massively in size, although maybe it has. Body with board face. Did you play Unreal 1999? Unreal Tournament 99? Yes. I used to play all the Unreal Tournaments. Called Unreal Tournament 99? Was it called at 99? What else we got here? Super old PCs. Will there be ship-to-ship refueling? Yes, it's not on the roadmap for this year at the moment, though. There'll be ship-to-ship refueling. There'll be ship-to-station refueling. There'll be drone-to-ship refueling. And there'll be ships refueling by going through gas clouds and stuff. The hydrogen fuel, sort of like intake stuff, that's pegged for this year, though. After the majority of the Stanton system is done this year, how many planets moons do you think we'll get every quarter next year to keep up with the amount of systems they still need to make? Ryan, it's more that they need to do biomes and assets. Like, they can generate the planets and moons really fucking quickly if they want to. They could do the 100 systems in a week. Like, genuinely. They could generate it. And we could entirely fill it with procedural content. Boom, done. But it's to do with they want to build lots of separate biomes, and then they can have loads of biome variations on just a single biome. Lots of different cool stuff they can do with it. Like with the snow biome, they can make it into salt. They can do it into ash. They can do all these cool variations of these biomes once they've done them. They just need to act in a certain way. And then when it comes to like cities, they need all the architecture. They need all all of that stuff and assets done for that, and then they can make variants of them. So I suspect we'll be getting quite a few biomes every quarter, and then by the end of next year, I would expect to see probably another system or two in the game, Pyro Magnus, and then they can start generating probably a few systems every year, quite comfortably. Potentially more. So some of these systems are going to be really quick and easy for them to build out because they don't have big human settlements and cities in. They can just be full of procedural content and some interesting stuff. They don't have to have architecture, and they don't have to have these cities. They don't have to have these landing zones. They don't have to have the hero assets, which take the most time. They're going down the community content. Makes you wonder where all that sub money goes to. Yeah, so I know they generate a good amount of money from sub money. You can look at their sort of like accounts and stuff that they've produced online, showing where the money goes and the generation of that. Actually, let's have a quick look see to see what that was like in 2017. Adam here in games. This is why I'm so far behind on chat, because I just go off on tangents. Where is the rate release and financials? Public roadmap, historical financials. Up on screen. So subscriptions, they made 3 million in subscriptions in 2017, and I suspect that's more now. Let's assume for, that last year that was 3,200. And this year maybe 3,300 so far. Maybe. What I mean by that is 3.3 million. But that's what I mean by that. Sorry. That's going off the tangent without explaining stuff. This is why I live on bullet points when I make videos, because I get to explain everything in order. Yeah, so let's say between 3 million and 3.3 million a year. They should be producing more content for the subs. It's a lot of money. Like, okay, so with subscriptions, I'll probably do a video on this at some point, actually. Talk about what you get for subscriptions and is it worth it? Because for some people, it's definitely not worth it at all. And sometimes it is worth it. It depends on what you want. But I don't think we're getting our money's worth. 3 million a year. I want more. I want more. I want cornical devs. I want 3 million a year. Give me 3 million a year and I will run some fucking content every fucking week. Jesus. Because the production costs of Around the Verse and Reverse the Verse and cornical devs, obviously not 3 million's worth. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. I didn't actually realize it was so much. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I'll probably talk about that more in a bit more detail at some point. But yes, I want cornical devs back. Oh my god, I do. Will you be remaking old chip videos? Yes. So when the new flight model comes out with 3.5 Live, I'll be going through all of the old ships and redoing my ship buyer's guide. Though 2 other people seem to be using the name ship buyer's guide just recently, which is fine because I don't own words. And once, when I first started doing YouTube stuff, I was making video names up and I came up with should you buy video series, and then someone went STL Youngblood makes that series. Are you just stealing his name? I was like, no, I'm not. I didn't realise. That's fine. People don't have words. You can fucking call them stuff what you want. In time of content drought, have you considered revising old content? For instance, citizenships versus civilians or old items from 2015, 2016. I will look at old content and see if it needs to be updated. That's a for certain. But there's quite a lot I need to do anyway. Is your source an 8-ball? I should get an 8-ball. I've got some coins from 1997, my favourite year, because things like Final Fantasy VII came out. I believe Half-Life was an alpha then. Katrina and the Waves won the Eurovision Song Contest with Love Light Shine a Light. UK, boom. We won the Eurovision Song Contest. Eat that, Europe, boom. Princess Diana died. Probably not the best. So did Mother Teresa. Not the best year for some people, admittedly. When will they fix the Super Hornet series? We're hoping for a big lot of changes and updates in 3.5.
Little hobbitses.
Hello, board.
Hello, Cauldron one. Thank you very much for resubbing. Very much appreciated. 16 months is a long bloody time to be part of watching me. Thank you. Will it be more planes in space or more 6 degrees of freedom? If it's more geared towards planes in space, I'm out. A lot of it does sound like it's geared towards planes in space and 6 degrees of freedom, sort of like merged together. The dogfighting sounds like it's going to be very much momentum-based, sort of planes in space. I, John Doe, would see what it's like in 3.5 and see if you like it or not before you say you're out. But it's not going to be for everyone. I think it's going to be significantly better than what we've currently got.
Little hobbitses.
But there's room for iteration there. Hanethcom, thank you very much for the subscription. Yes! Mwah. I appreciate it. I'm hoping for much more Tavaran lore. Yes, so we want lore on the Kurthak, the Tavaran, a bit more on the Xi'an. Yeah, it's supposed to be 6 degrees of freedom is there, but human ships are World War II fighter, main-centric thrusters. Can decouple, you can do all of that still. Grow hair or the bird gets it. Wow, I'm a fucking egg, so that's like birdicide, murder. You only murder humans? I don't know. Does the Carrack really have a fuel refinery? So the Carrack is supposed to be incredibly good at expeditions and like self-sufficient in incredibly long distances. So I'm assuming it has a fuel refinery or some way of converting very efficiently fuel into fuel, gas into fuel. Nom noms. Thank you very much for the bits, Quincy, for a question I've asked on the French community streams. How do you picture Portal Star once it gets remade? It's going to be made in the large rest stop / station function. So we've got the small rest stops at the moment. Those space stations are being expanded out into cargo stations and some other types of sort of like cryo-astro service type stations with lots of different modular pieces. It's going to be an everything station, but it's going to be one of the large, sort of like, basically a large rest stop. So we have the rest stops now. Bottle of is basically a legacy asset. Tips on getting out of the friend zone. Thanks. Murky water. Okay. So, I would say that let the other person make the first move. If it's getting out the friend zone, try and develop and foster a relationship of trust. And when you feel comfortable and you understand and know that it's not going to ever ruin the relationship, tell that person how you feel. Just say, I would like to explore things romantically with you. Would you like to go on a date at some point? If you don't want to, that's absolutely cool, but I would like to get to know you better. I mean, joke about, I want to get out of the friend zone. Like, you can just tell people, you can talk to people. And people aren't sort of like, oh my god, I can't believe he thought that. But like, you did think that. You did think that. You did want that. And you shouldn't be vilified because you wanted something. You're allowed to talk about it, and you're allowed to say, okay, well, that's not going to happen because you don't want that. And that's absolutely fine. But you should be able to talk freely about what you want and say, yeah, I would like to explore that. Yeah, Murky Water. I got my unfettered agony uncle / aunt advice. My gender is fluid, and I give agony uncle / aunt advice, so don't you worry. I know CIG has taken runways off the table, but with the addition of lift, wouldn't capital ships? What? I don't understand. You'll have giant landing pads for capital ships, I'm sure. Wouldn't capital ships ignore that? No. You're gonna have capital. I mean, say some ships do have wheels on their landing gear, and they did say that those wheels will have some form of effect eventually. So whether they can be towed or moved while on the ground or driven while on the ground, that's a maybe. Capital ships, I suspect it's going to be VTOLs and now SRV / tractor beams used to help get them out of atmosphere. Any news on the Crucible? Nope. No new news on the Crucible. Do you think there's a lack of player leadership in the verse? Do we need more Rexillas in game? I think I like Rexilla's content. However, that's more because Rexilla's people that play with Rexilla are willing to follow orders. Okay? That's what it is. They are willing to listen, they're willing to follow orders, and they've been briefed, and they don't fuck around. Okay? Perfect. You want soldiers and people that are there to have fun. And yes, some of them are going to ad-lib a bit, but they are there for the right purpose. Maybe they're a little bit role play or whatever, but they're there to have fun, to make this experience great, to make it look great. If some of them crash out or there's a problem, whatever, they run with it. And it's very ordered because of that. It's very easy to watch because of that. But it is, I'm assuming, reasonably organized. And everyone knows what they're there to do, everyone knows what they're doing, and they say, well, try not to just murder, try not to all just ram Rexilla or whatever. But it's, I love his content. I think it's very well done. I'm planning to do similar things, like I want to do shipboarding and that sort of stuff. I'll try and do a couple of these before 3.5, but really, the gameplay content, 3.5 comes, bam, I want to do a reasonable amount of gameplay. I want to look at all of the missions in game. I want to do silly shipboarding stuff, some stuff similar to Rexilla's stuff, because that simulates what the game is probably going to be like in some situations. When should I buy Star Citizen? If you enjoy being part of the project now, buy it now. So what I mean by that is that if you want to give feedback, if you want to play the game and go, I don't like this particular mechanic, I like this, or I found a bug. If you want to be part of that sort of conversation as the game develops, great, it's perfect now. I would recommend finding an organization to join because you'll have a lot more fun with the game like that. But if you're looking for a sit down and play game, then you're going to have to wait a year or two. Mocapping for hand-to-hand combat getting done anytime soon. They already have some mocap done for hand-to-hand combat and takedowns. I'm not sure how much of it's going to be hand-keyed or inverse arcade and that sort of stuff from that. They might have it all done already. I know that hand-to-hand combat is coming this year. Let's plan to. Person's YouTube recommended video says a lot about them. Unfortunately, G. Truman, I subscribe to a service called SciTube, and DC Deathcore has violated, in the worst possible way, all of my YouTube recommendations because it counts as me watching it on YouTube when he puts a video there. So there is some weird shit on mine. But I'd say it counts for DC's. How populated are the Evocati servers when updates go live? Typically, up to 50 people on a server, and most of the Evocati player base will play. I think there's 800 to 1,000 Evocati now. Did they double it recently? How's now? How many Evocati citizens? Either 800 to 1,000 or up to 2,000. I suppose I could say up to 2,000 because both are then correct. Port, Space Industries, Waves, EU FAQ, Evo. There is 800 to 2,000 Evocati currently. You want to know more about the PTU phases because we're probably going to get Evocati. I'm almost certain by this Thursday or Friday. I'm almost certain that it's just going to be the flight model to start with. So they mentioned a new vertical launch bay on the 890. Any idea where that is on the external shell of the ship? No. But I'm assuming the rear. The idea of the Carrack is that it's supposed to be able to stay out in deep space for a prolonged, potentially indefinite period of time. So we don't know what that's going to be in gameplay terms yet. We don't know how it's going to be balanced yet. Expect it to be able to go out for extreme periods of time. How do you feel about the switch back to the map table for the Carrack? I have no real qualms or don't really have an opinion on it because we don't have it in game yet and it doesn't have function yet. I need to see how it functions differently from a holo table, from like 3D holo maps and stuff. I'm happy with 2D map tables. Personally, the function that I'm more interested in. Bored, you sound relatively chipper today. Maybe it's just the coffee. With the Carrack proving such a popular archetype and overall concept, do you think we could see similar equivalent ships from multiple ship manufacturers? And just in general, do you think we will see a more direct overlap with ships? With some ships, yes. Some ships, there's going to be a different manufacturer's version of that type of ship, but it will be going a slightly different route. Like, I do think we will see a... I think the Corsair, the Drake Corsair, which we will almost certainly get this year, will be sort of like in between a Constellation Aquila and a Carrack now. And that's what I think. I might be wrong. It might just be like a Constellation, or it might run a different route. But I think it's going to be Drake Exploration, sort of like smaller end of like Corvette Explorer ships sort of size. you think that Xi'an ships will be playable just as well with mouse and keyboard? Yeah? Yeah. You've got loads of buttons on mouse and keyboard. You can do all the shit. Some people are going to prefer dual stick. Some people are going to prefer whatever control method they want. It is down to personal preference. But dual stick does give you the most range of control, I suppose. I'm always going to prefer the precision of mouse and keyboard and the ease of use of mouse and keyboard. And it's very hard to dual stick and then you can hear someone creeping up behind you in your pilot seat and then to switch to mouse and keyboard. Well, it's probably not actually. You just have the sticks next to you. Depends on your setup, doesn't it? Depends on your desk space as well. Oh, someone's just chucked money at me, which I like. I like money. I cancelled my Star Citizen subscription recently, so you can have the money instead. Fucking boom, Seb. That's what I like to see. 1970 Seb. You're the best. Anyone else? What's the dinner? Thank you very much. In protest, guys, feel free to throw the money at me. Yes, I am feeling relatively chipper today. My dad's recovering really well. I just got a giant bundle of steak through the post. I bought a load of beef from a site that I wanted to buy from for a while, and they did loads of these 28-ounce tomahawk steaks. So I've got loads of different types of steak and lots of different meat and ribs and things all delivered. Which I used to be a chef, and I used to run my own takeaways and be a head chef and run proper barbecues and things like that. And I sort of like left that to do YouTube because it was too stressful and it was hell. And there wasn't that much money in it either. Maybe I just wasn't very good as a businessman at it. But so I've started getting back into food again recently for myself. And both me and Zin really fucking love to eat, and we really love cooking. So maybe you'll see some food stuff on the channel, even if it's just for sort of like live streams or VIP content or something. But maybe it might become something more in the future. Do you love my food? But yeah, I just had a 28-ounce steak just before the stream, which is probably why I'm so happy. And it's really good beef. And it's you track the provenance of it as well, so I don't feel like a monster. Will they add Star Citizen abilities to hold or hover in a specific position? But you can. You can do that anyway. I don't know what you mean, George. You do that already. You go, so with the new flight model, you're going to have velocity control and acceleration control. So you can sort of set up your own precision mode or your own whatever mode. Your VTOL thrusters, it depends on what ship you've got and depends what coolers you've got. You should be able to just hover in place even in atmosphere for prolonged periods of time. It will put strain on your thrusters. It will cause them to degrade. And some thrusters might just overheat eventually because they're not supposed to be in atmosphere with your big fucking heavy ship if it's fully laden with cargo for long periods of time. When will they fix the Super Hornet series? Ship looks aged and for a medium fighter, and it's weak. So, 3.5, new flight model. Assume everything's going to be rebalanced. Obviously, physicalized components are also coming eventually. This is going to make ships play and fight a lot different because you'll be targeting people's individual components, like individual thrusters, individual weapons, individual power plants, things like that, to try and damage, take down, or disable a ship. They won't have health pools anymore. What changes do you think will happen in the actual roadmap? So the current roadmap for the persistent universe is apparently less aggressively driven after they did their big rework of it recently, so that they think with a high level of confidence everything on there can get there. And beyond that, they want to try and get some extra things on towards the end of the year. So we might start to see, we could see Horizon if they get all the gas cloud tech done and then they do the gas giant tech. We might see weather systems. We might see lots and lots of different things, but we don't know. And I'm not sure what roadmap changes will actually happen, to be honest. They're going to try and subsume all of that delicious Squadron 42 core gameplay and sort of like polish into the persistent universe for Squadron 42 this year. So how many biomes are expected to have xenomorphs? They do want xenomorphs, terror, scary things. They sort of they mentioned it. They said there might be some missions where you have to go to a derelict and there's like a xenomorph or horrible alien thing or something, interesting things. When do you think CIG will focus on these persistent bugs, broken ships, for a quarterly update? Every major release and some minor ones. What is Evocati? Evocati is the earliest test of a particular patch. So 3.5 has the Evocati phase, then the PTU phase, which is the public test universe, and then that will go live after that. And the PTU is done in waves. Evocati is invite only. You have to be asked to be an Evocati, and then you have to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. Does the current subscriber armor color match the rose gold weaponry? Well, the rust armor, no, it does not. Subs also pay for events. Tickets would be much, much higher. Okay. Do subs pay for CitizenCon? Is that it? And it's only CitizenCon they do now. And they fund that with ticket prices. So, John D, I think that... I think that's a bit of a non sequitur. Because, okay, one of the other things is that the sub-content that's paid for around the verse and reverse the verse, very much so in my opinion, generates CIG more money in advertising. They've double dipped with that, and rightly so. They should. I mean, you want to be using that content to generate more money, to generate more hype for the game, to educating people that aren't paying for the aren't paying that sub price. That's fine. However, they're getting a lot of money from subs, and they should be making a lot more content, and they probably are going to be. Like, they're not going to be... Disco implied that they were looking at other avenues for content. But I would like more. I mean, especially for the amount of people that are subbing. I mean, they are making Flare. They are doing Jump Point. There are concierge. There are subscribers sort of like only sections on the forums, and some cool other bits and bobs that they do get. So they're not just paying for their community content in the forms of the community videos, but I want more, and I think that's fair. I'm like, is that reasonable? I mean, I will do a cost analysis breakdown, sort of like a rough one at some point, and talk about that. Hello, Board. Nice to meet you. Don't know if you already answered this kind of question, but what do you think about the actual lack of content, like the last Info Runners video, and then the amateurism of Disco Lando, as some people are talking about? I think Disco is actually pretty well styled. He makes the game and knowledge about the game accessible. He frames a lot of stuff when he sort of like acts the fool, or acts like he'll ask the very basic questions, and that's a very good thing to have as a host. You need to be able to explain it to the audience by asking that question of an expert yourself. So I think he's actually pretty good. I loved calling all devs. I think that's a shining achievement. So I want that back. And some of the reverse the verses have been great, especially like the game dev ones. Ones about game design have always been good. Some of the ones about ships are great. Just some of them are a bit lackluster in my opinion as well. But you're gonna get hit and misses. That's fine. I just want, in general, the content to be good and flowing. Around the verse, yeah, I'd like the around the verse. It's fine as it is. Maybe a couple of minutes extra of cool stuff. Them showing off cool stuff would be great. And then the fluff that was in around the verse a while ago, like the big sort of like and deep dives into particular things, they said they were going to do separately. So they should do that. Like, I want to see deep dives into each of the game mechanics, each of the planets, each of the ways they do sound or whatever, as a separate video every so often, every couple of weeks. Bam, give me those cool deep dives into certain things, into ships, into mechanics, into design, into how networking works, into whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna I'll look at it. I'll do a video in it and talk about my personal views on the community content. but I need to do some more research into exactly how much money they're getting and things like that to know what's appropriate, and how that breaks down. Because maybe they are putting more money, I thought, into running CitizenCon and subsidizing that. But, I mean, it generates them a fuck ton of money anyway, doesn't it? So, will it be possible to land more than one fighter in the Polaris hangar? If it fits, yes. You might be able to get very small fighters in there. You might be able to get 2 arrows in there, for example. This is same as every hangar in game. If it sits, it fits. You know what I mean? The original Vanguard's concepts had wheels. I think those will be put back in. So, as far as I'm aware, the rest of the Vanguards are sort of like becoming more like the Hoplite. They're having all of their interior modules redone. They're all getting the Hoplite back ramp. Yeah, some ships will have wheels. Don't know if the Vanguards are. Ship-to-ship docking is currently banned for 3.8. Do you know if putting vehicles like Grey Cats and Nox in ships will be improved before this? I suspect it'll be improved, but I'm not sure. Okay. Actually, let's word this in another way. Also with 3.8, I believe the Hull C is coming, and that implies that they've got the multi-grid physics tech stuff working. However, I'm not sure at that time whether or not they're going to have the parasite docking and ship to is it ship to ship docking they need, but they also then need to have the sort of like the parasite implementation of that. So it might be ready for 3.8, but when it comes to vehicles and vehicles sitting and being locked in to ships and not glitching out and falling out their physics grids, I suspect it will be a lot better in 3.8. I'm just not sure whether it's going to be 100% done for them. Although thinking about it, because they need it for Squadron 42, maybe it will be. Maybe it will be in a really good state. Or maybe it's the networking stuff that causes the problems. So I don't really know for that one. We do know that they are working towards that. Ship-to-ship docking is a big part of that. The fact they've got the Hull C in there, because the Hull C has a morphing physics grid, basically, and morphing animations, and can band out and contract back down, and needs to have cargo be able to put on it. That's a good sign that you'll be able to have ships in ships, or vehicles in ships, without them glitching through. But I don't know for sure. What do you think of the PU never getting a real launch, just being incrementally improved on? Do you think it will reduce the potential player base and hurt the game in the long run? That's a really hard thing to say, because what they're doing is every 3 months they are releasing a major patch indefinitely at the moment. I think we need to define what we think live is, or a launch is. A launch, for me, is them having no more resets and saying, right, game is no longer having any more resets, go off and do stuff. And so that's going to have a reasonable amount of the content, that's going to have server meshing probably there, things like that. And that, for me, will be launched. And then it's going to also be incrementally improved on. And I'm not sure if that's going to help the game in the long run or hurt it. And it would be impossible to say, wouldn't it? Unfortunately. CIG nerfs ships' abilities from time to time. How do you think they'll handle orgs using ship combinations to dominate, covering a Kraken with Nova tanks? I mean, I don't think that's going to be that effective. Like, firing off ships when that ship's shields are up might not work in the same way that you think. The Nova tanks might be hitting the Kraken's shields, for all we know, from the other side. So, and then they'll all go, well, to turn the Kraken's shields down. Well, why don't you just have loads of ships flying off? Like, if you've got a load of tanks on the Kraken, well, why not just get a capital ship? Why not? The Kraken's supposed to be used as a carrier. If you're covered in Nova tanks, it can't be used as a carrier. It's carrying Nova tanks. So, and the way that orgs and other people will combat combinations of ships that dominate is by using the same combination, or combinations that literally beat that combination. And that will be done by information gathering and reconnoitering fleets and scanning down fleets and sort of like attacking at the right times and things like that. At the moment, it's too hard to say how stuff's going to be balanced, but it'll be a little easier once we've had the new flight model in 3.5. End of March. Will it be possible to land more than one fighter in the player's hangar? We talked about that. What if you want to play an assassin? Should there be a way to commit murder without getting onto level? Yes, and there will be. You'll have to do it out of sight of things that can detect you. Don't get caught if you don't get seen. If you do it silently and you do it really well, even in relatively safe areas, you should be able to murder. Question, when does the new ship matrix start? New ship matrix. Can you be more specific, Sean? Am I the only one that would like the option to throw stowaways in the reclaimer grinders? You will be able to. Chris, okay, so the plan with stowaways at the moment is that when you take off whatever, you can say, everyone that's not in my missions list, get off my ship. And it will literally issue an order to anyone that's on your ship to get off. You might not be able to detect them or know they're there, but if they do not get off within a certain time, and they are stowaways, so they're on your ship, you've gone off into space or whatever, it might be automatic in some cases. You'll probably actually have to issue an order, but you might as well just do it as a matter of course when you're taking off. If they don't get off, you can then deal with them in any way you want. You can just shoot them in the head, you can beat them up, you can hit them with a baseball bat, you can stun them and chuck them in the grinders without getting a criminal rating. That's how they want to do stowaways and deal with people getting off your ship and stuff. Because you don't want to have like a bandit merchantman and then go, this guy's not getting off my ship. But, well, I'll issue an order, get off my ship. Within 2 minutes, he's not off my ship, and I can murder him. How brutal the close combat will be in Squadron 42 Star Citizen? Will it be up to Netflix Punisher or even the Raid? Probably not that brutal, to be honest. We've seen takedowns in the Squadron 42 vertical slice, and in the 2016 System Con, the 2 planets with the sandworm. But it's probably just going to be pretty basic, clean takedowns, like break up someone's neck or stab them in the neck with a knife. Probably not any form of gore. And close combat, expect some sort of like jabbing and some interesting flourishes and some stabbings with a knife, but nothing gory. Think very basic. How do you become Evocati? So you are more likely to get picked in early wave PTUs and to be asked to become an Evocati if you are active on the issue council, which is the way you report and prioritize bugs. If you play in any test builds and PTUs that you get, yeah, that's basically what you need to do. Be more active on the testings. And then eventually you may get asked, but there's probably quite a few people in front of you at the moment. What is going to lead to large-scale fights? I know the game will support them, but later on, why would large orgs risk the loss of characters and ships over looking cool? So, there's probably going to be reasons to do large-scale fighting. So, for example, big raid type events, attacking Vandal forces, PvE type stuff, big PvE raids. We probably guessed that that's going to be a thing. Big pirate bases, big Vandal bases, incursions, things like that. Bam, large-scale fights. PvP wise, in sort of like, think of a asteroid field and a moon in a lawless non-UEE territory that has incredible mineral wealth, and there is a base that a player has made there and is defending there. They're pirates or whatever, or they're outlaws. Or it's irrelevant because it's in lawless space. No one's going to care if you kill each other. You're not going to get a criminal rating for it. So someone's got a base there, and they're exploiting the wealth of that area. Someone can come along and go, I don't want you exploiting the mineral wealth of this area. I want it. And then there might be a big fight that starts there, attacking an outpost or attacking a small mining fleet or whatever, and that will escalate in a similar way to EVE. That's how I foresee it. It'll be escalation. Can people get there in time to join the fight or whatever? And then the cleanup afterwards. It might be a lot of people driving ships away from each other. I suspect that's going to be a large part of it. Like capital ships, I don't think will get destroyed that often. I think a lot of the time they'll be heavily damaged and they'll just get the fuck out, they'll bug out. How can the Carrack remain exploring indefinitely without a fuel refinery? I suspect it will have a fuel refinery or something similar to that, or drones that are able to gather fuel for it. or a fuel refinery. So since we will be able to pull mineable asteroids with the tractor beam, do you think they will come in variants large enough where you could have 10 cutlasses drag 10 mining asteroids at max speed? You can, while tractoring at the maximum speed you can, while tractoring, and then fly towards a capital ship, and then brake the tractor to slingshot the asteroids at the capital ship and have it be effective. I do not think it will be that effective. So the asteroids that you're going to be able to pick up aren't going to be that big, and ordnance and weapons are built to damage things. Asteroids, being hurled things, they're going to get slowed down, they're going to hit off shields, there's a lot of kinetic energy that's going to be absorbed because of the size of them and that sort of stuff. So shoot at it if you want to try and kill it. Can subscriber flare be gifted? I believe so, yes. 420 Blam, light it up, bro. Good job, BG. Keep the spirit alive. If you start a guild or corp or a cult, let me join in game. AC Unsung Peace. Yakima 2000, Yamaka, thanks. I've got 2 orgs. The one you're more than welcome to join is BoredGamer. Just search for it. Anyone's more than welcome to join my BoredGamer social org. I will start to be using it a lot more in the coming weeks. Very soon. I was planning to do it at the beginning of this year, but I've just got a bit lazy and stuff with my dad happened and all that sort of thing. So, would you be taking over space stations and occupying it permanently like squatters? So there are going to be abandoned space stations. So yeah, I suspect that some players will occupy them. Some of those space stations are probably supposed to be used for missions and spawning missions, but with full persistence, I suspect that some players will squat in stations. Board has a new campaign. Star Citizen subs to board subs. Woo! No. Why do Origin put Origin logos on the walls and floors in their ship? Will there be in-game tapestries to hang over them? I think we're going to have a reasonable amount of customization when it comes to things like that, Tomato. What is your favourite fighter currently? Saber. Looking at getting a Buccaneer, though I've been asking around for other options. Glad your dad's doing well. Thank you very much appreciated. He's doing very well. Buccaneer's solid. It's cheap, effective, high DPS. We don't know how. We need to see how the new flight model handles fighters and dogfighting before really making an option what's the best fighter. But I like the Saber the most at the moment. Probably 2 to 3 ounces of bone with my tomahawk steak. It was a tiny little bone. It was pre-trimmed, so it was a tiny bit of bone, and the bone marrow was exposed already. What kind of toilet paper will be in game after the light survival mechanics are in? Only the sort of like plasticky toilet paper you used to get in schools when you were younger, unfortunately. What do you think about the new content creators like Rexilla influencing new players? Are the classic content creators in danger? I don't know what that means. The classic content creators. The more content creators that come into the game and making good content, the better it is for everyone, in my opinion. And I mean, I think that's a demonstrable truth. But yeah, it's a great thing. If classic old content creators don't want to create new content or don't, want to continue to create content, that's up to them. 3.5 Evocati will be nice. What are you most looking forward to in 3.5 besides ArcCorp and the flight model? Mostly ArcCorp and the flight model. I mean, having AI and missions like being a bit better. 300 series reworks, probably quite exciting. This is the Benny Defender. I want to see what they're doing with the 300 series. Like getting AI more involved in the missions is probably quite a good shout. It's probably going to be quite interesting. But that's the main things. It's ArcCorp, the flight model. I mean, having more character customization of female characters, cool. Yes, I played Jedi, whatever the fuck it was. One ages ago. With lightsabers and hitting people. Zoom, zoom, zoom. When can we name our ships? And will they have to be unique names? Or might there be 500 Millennium Falcons? That's a good point. We're not entirely sure how name is going to work. They've said that you will be able to name ships in game. I think that it might have to be unique per ship type. You could only have one 300 series maybe of that name, but maybe have multiple ones. There might be some of that with the 300 rework in 3.5. Like they've said that there's going to be new ways of customizing your ship, and they're bringing out a new system and that sort of stuff. So maybe that's going to be part of that. Maybe they'll tell us more. Is the PTU already out? No. We're expecting 3.5 to come to Evocati by this weekend, at least with the new flight model for Evocati to test. When your dad gets well enough, can he come on the stream and say hi? He is the most socially awkward man in the world, Riker. Like, terribly. He is not a people person. Shakes when on the phone. It's social anxiety. Can we play billiards later on, or is it just for looks in game? They have the ability to have little physics games working in game, like basketball and cards and chess and billiards and pool and stuff like that. But whether or not they're going to do it, that's another story. Has autopilot been commented on? IRL, there are aircraft that can fly themselves in a search pattern for search and rescue. Are we going to have something like that? We'll have AI and NPCs being able to do search patterns and things. Star Citizen is meant to be hands-on. However, course plotting is also going to be a thing. So we need to see how that's going to sort of like come together. Can you pre-plot a big course and then sort of like autopilot that course? But Star Citizen is supposed to be very tactile and hands-on. They don't want anything to be super automated. There is anti-grav tech in the game. Maglev is what it's called. Is it me or is Star Citizen? Is it me or our Star Citizen faith is a bit tested in this last month? 3.4 felt like a non-event. Should we hibernate into 3.5 or 3.6? I totally disagree. 3.4 had some big changes, and actually getting Hurston working properly and things like that. Wasn't the most exciting release in the world, admittedly, and we were expecting the new flight model. So 3.5 is where I'm going to be most excited about this year, I think. Fortunately, it's coming early on. Also, I don't like the term faith when used with Star Citizen. I think that you should make a rational decision based on the content and evidence provided, whether or not you want to back the game, whether or not you like the game, whether or not you like what they're doing. I don't like having faith in things that I don't want to give in to, well, I hope that works. Like, make a decision, and then based on the evidence and based on what you think rationally, whether or not they're going to provide what you want in at least some form. Kind of answered this, but I've recently become a Star Citizen subscriber. What do you think about the changes to ATV and the other content? ATV, if they have a couple more minutes of call, great. They also produce another show where they do deep dives and sections of, let's talk about sound, let's talk about this particular ship, let's talk about this gameplay mechanic, let's talk about something or other. Great. They sort of said they were going to do that a while ago. Hope they do. Calling devs, I'd like that back. And also, I would like game design questions every week. That's probably quite a lot, so they could maybe do one every other week or whatever and swap it all around. But that's the sort of stuff I want, especially when they're getting over $3 million, I'm assuming, each year just for the community content. Yeah, some people are only subscribers for the flair. I'm a subscriber because that gives me a subscriber newsletter and gives me jump point and stuff like that, so I can read about that and be a bit more informed. And I can also be grumpy about subscriptions. Although this is how thrifty I am, okay? I subscribe every time there's flare. Yeah? See the dates of the flare. Subscribe so they get the very, very last date of that flare that's definitely going to come to me. Because with that way, I very often get 2 months worth of flare for 1 month subscription. Boom. That is how thrifty I am. I'm a fucking monster. I get weird guilt if I'm not thrifty. I don't know what it is. It's just why people take the piss out of me. Thriftbot, my friends call me. It was G. G originally coined that term. What else have we got here? Oh. Can you give me some ideas about what the docking will be good for? Because I can only think about it using it to don't lose atmosphere inside the ship and don't expose the vacuum of space. But it's not really an issue in Star Citizen. Do you know more about it? So, it increases the range of fighters. Some fighters are meant to be short range, so you deploy them from carriers, or you deploy them from a larger ship. So your fighter, which can't go particularly far without resupplying or refueling, rearming, can now stay with its parent ship until it needs to be deployed. It allows them to do lots of other stuff as well. So it allows them to at least go towards having larger ships connect to each other in space, so they can be refueled, rearmed, repaired, move cargo across. Obviously, they've got the station docking which is coming before that. That allows for larger ships in game, like the Hull C. Part of them wanting to have parasite fighters docked with the ships as well. It's all part of that. So it does allow for a lot of stuff. And it allows for ships to... Part of it is allowing for ships to be moving and then docking without bugs, basically. When organization features are more developed, will you be creating a giant org with your subscribers? Already have the BoredGamer org. I will be activating it though. So it's there. People are more than welcome to join. It's a social org, but it will eventually be active very soon, in fact, is the plan. Rumours are there is an equivalent to Jump Town on a moon at Hurston. Any truth to that? Not that I'm aware. Maybe there is that I just haven't noticed. Not that I'm aware. Not that I've found or that I know about. But I've become quite reclusive over the last few weeks because of my dad having his operation and stuff. So I'll check that out to see if there is any truth to it. It's like, oh, there's another little hidden facility. Can you give me some ideas about what the docking will be good for? I've already talked about that. Any word on the Hornet Heartseeker? When will it be playable? It's going to be playable in 3.5. You'll get a Super Hornet until it's ready. Used to think if CIG eliminated monthly subscriber flare, that subscribers would drop drastically. I think they drop. Do you think CIG has begun to prefer flare versus content to generate subscription income? I think they want a little bit of everything. I do think they've become a little bit more lazy over the last couple of months with their community content. Is there any plans on making an all-in-one ship? Fighter, Explorer, Miner with good cargo hold. No, there's not. They want ships to have some form of focus. There might be ones that are good general utility ships or good general fighters. They don't want a ship that can do everything. I suppose the closest to that can do everything is sort of like something like the Carrack, which has got a little bit of everything. When the 3.5 flight model is released, do you expect that CIG is going to put most of their ships back onto the pledge store for a sale? 3.5 will see a flyable ship sale for the new ships. They might do a big sale because why not? That's a good idea for them. An excuse for a sale. What version of the game would be considered ready and not in an alpha state anymore? When they got server meshing in, when there's no more resets. It's not ready then, but it's live. They're going to keep on updating it. There's still a lot more gameplay area they need to do. There's still a lot more mechanics they need to add to the game. What ship do you recommend for overall gameplay for 2 to 3 people? 2 to 3 people? Cutlass Black, probably want to maybe start at. Maybe a Freelancer, all the way up to Constellation size ships. Cutlass, Freelancer, or Constellation. That's my my suggestion. Or Mercury Star Run is a good shout as well if you want to do sort of like cargo running and data running. What ship would be a Cutlass upgrade? A Mercury? Yeah, a Mercury, Freelancer, Constellation. A few weeks ago, we finally got some info about medium-sized settlements, villages, underground bunkers, caves, etc. Yep. They talked that they even said they might make procedural rivers and procedural roads and procedural cave system, that sort of stuff. We're still waiting on more information for that. Will there be player-owned structures in space? We don't 100% know, George. We know that there's going to be player-owned outposts and built outposts from the Pioneer. I'm hoping that we get player-built or player-owned space stations. However, players will squat in space stations for sure and say that they own them, which maybe is enough. Insurance will be extremely important for balancing risk versus reward, and there needs to be a way for people to lose their ships, or no ship market between players in the game will exist. Yes, there needs to be UEC sinks. So there's going to be, even if it's just only partly insuring ships. Like, yeah, you've got lifetime insurance on your ship, but it's still going to take 2 weeks to replace it, unless you pay a load of UEC or something like that. So, and there's insurance to get everything fully insured on your ship, like all of the weapons and custom items on your ship or whatever. That's probably going to cost a reasonable amount. How hard do you think it is going to be for the solo player or small 2 to 4 person org when stacked up against these mega orgs? From Kata, very hard. If you're trying to fight an org, 2 to 4 people against a mega org, it depends where you're fighting them as well. Like, they're not going to be able to find you, but if you're actively trying to bring a battle to them, then it depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to dislodge them, that might be hard. If you're trying to harass them, hit and run them, guerrilla warfare them, that might be reasonably easy. You can attack their mining operations regularly. Yeah, I'm thinking Evocati by Friday. I do have a Saber Raven Rakiro. I'm going to try and get another couple of them to give to Zin and DC, and another one from my secondary accounts. I do like the ship. It is useful. There's potentially going to be a more ships on sale for with the new flight model with 3.5. Yeah, as I said, I think it's a good excuse for another sale. If the Carrack has a fuel refinery, will it be able to refuel other ships? I don't believe so. However, its drones may be able to. Like, the Carrack does have drones. Maybe the drones on the Carrack can be outfitted with the refueling mechanics. Take fuel out of the Carrack somehow. Or from clouds and fuel other ships. Do you think we'll see 300 series customization from the website with 3.5? Yes, that's the plan. Do you think we could see new ship manufacturers that build hybrid tech ships, such as Misk, except with Banu, Vandal, Carrack tech, and just in general, do you think there will be more ship manufacturers? Yes, I think there will be some more ship manufacturers in the future, certainly. POA obviously do the Xi'an stuff. Asperia do the alien sort of like replicas converted for human use of like the Vandal ships and that sort of stuff. So you might see Asperia do some reverse engineered ships. We'll probably see a ship manufacturer for the Tavaran, for the Kerfak and stuff like that as well. Yeah, I'd expect that. I'm not sure if we'll get some hybrid manufacturers, some new ones, but we might. It makes sense in the future, almost certainly in the future. Stormfire, thank you very much. Love your face. Very much appreciated. Constant, long-term patron backer of my stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. With previous PTU builds, we were able to try out new ships. Do you think this will happen with the 8 to 90 jump when the time comes? Yes, but probably only very early on in the PTU build. And I suspect subscribers will have access to it at some point as well. 20 years ago, Chris Roberts made Star Lancer. It had a good flight model. Why can't they do at least that for Star Citizen? New flight model 3.5. Let's see if it's any good. Also, play Star Lancer now and tell me if the flight model's good. Do you think Starfarer will get an interior makeover to take better advantage of interior space instead of having stars and pointless air ducts? I don't think it's going to get... It might get some tweaks, but I don't think it's going to get a full makeover or anything. Question. Do you have a rough idea when the game will have systems in place that will make it feel like an MMO? Thanks. We're waiting for server meshing and full persistence. Then it will feel more like an MMO. They're putting in like physicalized inventories this year and things like that. They're getting the missions working. They're getting all the core mechanics there. It's going to start feeling more and more like its goal of the game every quarter. Could you explain the shield system? Could a fighter with laser cannons drop a capital ship shields? It could, yes, because that capital ship might be concentrating its energy on other tasks, or might have only put a little bit of energy to the shields. However, if a capital ship is putting energy to its shields and all is equal, those shields are probably going to have too much health and regenerate too quickly for a single fighter to take them down. However, if that capital ship is firing a beam weapon and it's got minimal, if any, power going to shields, those shields won't recharge and you can take them down pretty quick. Or maybe there's been some damage to the ship. Or whatever. Capital ship shields are going to be pretty strong. Are we still going to have serial numbers on our ships? Don't know. Do you think there will be a fighter sale with a new flight model? We'll talk about that. Do you think all the features for 3.5 will be live in one single patch and not be divided like 3.5 and all that sort of jazz? Yes, I think 3.5 will probably have all of its features within its live build end of March. With the Evocati patch and PTU patches, however, they will be drip feeding content into 3.5. You were right, I'm wrong. The new official statement on how they use sub-funding no longer mentions events. John D. Okay, well, I'll have a look at it in detail. That's fine, I mean. It's fine, I'm just posing for no apparent reason other than being right on the internet. No worries, thank you. I'll look into it as well. Like, if they were using it previously, cool. We could talk about that and how it's changed. I think probably a conversation that probably needs to be done at some point. Your vid's my first super chat. It goes to you. Bomb Kata, I love you. Thank you. Dalamars, morning BG, welcome to Tuesday. Appreciated. Thank you for welcoming me to a Tuesday. I might have to grab a drink in a second because I am thirsty as sin. Do you think there'll be more ships released in 3.5 than are on the roadmap? There might be like a secret or hidden ship, like they did with the Valkyrie. Potentially. Don't get your hopes up because there very well might not. But maybe. Has there been any talk of the Connie being buffed? Because in its present state, it's way too fragile for its size, in my opinion. So, in the near future, ships won't have health pools anymore. Components will be physicalized. Larger ships will take longer to kill, and you're not just going to be able to destroy a ship just by shooting it repeatedly in its midsection. You're going to have to target its components, disable it, that sort of stuff. And so the Connie will, because of that, get buffed effectively. New flight model in 3.5, everything's getting rebalanced anyway. We'll revisit all this sort of stuff once we have the new flight model. I have a hard time landing any shops in combat. Any suggestions? Turn off ESP because it's broken. Wait until 3.5 because it's probably going to be a lot better. Do you know if there will be a way for friends and orgs to train together without consequences of killing their character and ships? this would be useful when practicing tank warfare. They might expand Arena Commander and Star Marine to allow for that. But that's what the Marine Commander and Star Marine are supposed to be about. Anything new regarding the Vulcan? Nope. Nothing new that I'm aware of. Do you know anything about beacons and that we can use for racing on planets, moons, and space? Where there's the scramble races, which use beacons. I suspect in the future we will be able to set our own beacons for races, or at least we'll be able to say that the nav beacons that we place are there for races, and enforce that ourselves. But yeah, I don't know too much about what they've got planned for nav beacons, other than you'll be able to deploy nav beacons in the future. That will save a location, and you'll be able to share that location, and people will be able to literally quantum travel there. However, other people can find them, hack them, destroy them, and they do need to be maintained in some way, like recharging them, whatever, every so often. What will endgame look like in game? If it isn't to get more ships or to farm loot, then what's the reward? Reputation? Vanity pieces? It's to do things, I suppose. The idea of Star Citizen is it's like a massive sandbox, and you can sort of do what you want. So it will be people going to high risk reward zones, trying to find rare loot, trying to make as much money as possible, trying to lock down systems, trying to say that they own planets, orc warfare. There's going to be a lot of stuff to do in game. There's a huge amount that we don't fucking know yet. How it's going to relate to end game. There's going to be big fleet battles to do, and there's going to be assaulting vandal things. And there's going to be exploration-y things, building bases, that sort of stuff. So it's all part of the end game. There's no real end game Star Citizen. It's all part of the same pie. Thank you very much, Blue Eyes. Seems good. Appreciated. Do you think we'll get any other big community events like ship design contests in the future? Thinking of that sub money. They did want the next Great Star Marine, which was going to be them making Titan suits with the community. However, then they decided they wanted Titan suits for Squadron 42, so they made them themselves. I do expect we will get community events in the future for certain things. More likely now to be to do with flair and armor and aesthetics more than anything else, in my opinion. I think Info Runners are trying to run their own next great starship. Don't know if that's going to be successful or not. I would have tried to get CIG's backing personally for doing something like that, but we'll see. Will we be able to create our own graphic decals for ships? I don't know. They've talked about this before, saying we'll have to have org decals on ships, and they sort of said maybe. We know we're going to be able to paint our ships. We're going to have at least some basic options when it comes to that. And probably have some pre-made decals. Hopefully we're about to have our own custom ones, but don't know for sure. On another video, you spoke of Bendy Defender's hit scan weapons, the tachyon cannons. Can you please explain the difference between traditional weapons and hit scan weapons? So, okay. Beam weapons in general might be more hit scan, to be honest, but they might have a travel distance. So when I talk about hit scan, the tachyon weapons and cannons, as far as I'm aware, are supposed to effectively be like super fast. So when I mean hit scan, you point and you click and it hits the target pretty much instantly. Whereas beam weapons, they may have a time to get to the target, although they might just be there instantly. They might be hit scan as well. I don't entirely know. Anything planned for salvage? Yeah, it's in 3.8. We don't know exactly what the first iteration is going to be. I'm expecting it to be very similar to mining asteroids, where you'll go up to debris of a ship or part of a ship, and you'll lock onto it, and then you'll like maybe break bits off of it first, and with a laser or whatever, or blow it up more, and then suck up the sort of like outer hull and strip the hull with a mining laser. Two features coming with 3.5 to be hyped about: flight model and Arc or female models and customization of them. There are three of that, sort of four. With updates to the 300 series, do you think the pricing will change that will affect me having a 325A and its value toward upgrading? Maybe. I suspect there'll be more customization options which will increase the value of the ship. Bye. That's what I'm expecting. I theorized the Taurus delay is due to RSI making it a unique ship that is still constellation-centric, but a different ship on its own. What do you think? Or are you thinking they might be like expanding out the cargo bay a bit more or something? No. I think they don't know where exactly where it's going to fall. It might be like a secret little thing that's going to come with 3.5 or 3.6. They might be expanding out its cargo bay and like we're redoing this entire module. Any plans to have FPS content in 3.5? Mobs to kill and areas to explore? Yeah. They're going to be expanding that out in 3.5, getting it working. There's going to be Lyria, Walla, and ArcCorp. They've been working on AI and moving out of AI collision avoidance and stuff like that. So there's a lot more FPS AI tweaks they've been doing. Don't you think expecting a beta for Squadron 42 Q2 2020 is a bit too optimistic considering the information's in the overview tab of its roadmap? Maybe a bit too optimistic for Squadron 42. I still think we'll see it Q2, Q3, maybe. Don't know until a little bit later. We'll see how the roadmap's going in a few months. Did we ever figure out what happened to the Taurus? Nope, we don't know. The Star Citizen's much more sort of like an open world MMO sandboxy type thing, but there should be a fuck ton of things to do, adventures to go on, and like what's Eve's endgame? There'll be certain areas which are very, very high risk reward, which you're supposed to go into or you can't go into. Have they said what items, armor, ships, sub items? Referring to. Will there be crafting in the future? So, we don't 100% know. They've talked about previously with the science mechanics being able to like manufacture drugs and that sort of stuff and potentially meds or whatever. So part of the science mechanics and exploration mechanics might be gathering herbs or plants or whatever and making compounds with them. We might be able to make fuel. Well, be able to refine fuel or whatever. But we don't know whether we're going to be able to make ordnance, weapons, items, ships. We don't know yet. I'm hoping there's crafting, at least some limited crafting. I want to be able to go into a lawless area of space, set up a base there, and produce fuel and munitions so that I can stay there indefinitely. And food, stuff like that. Great. That means you can have an outlaw base, which is truly independent, that would need to be dislodged by another team, another group, whatever, to get access to that area. Or if you are worried about the pirate base, whatever, you need to go and destroy that pirate base to dislodge them from that area. I love that idea. How excited are you for the game right now? My enthusiasm has never been higher. Flymo, I'm very excited for the 3.5. I'm excited to try the new flight model. So hopefully the end of this week, that'll be exciting. Because I think that even if they need to tweak it heavily and they need to keep on rebalancing it or whatever, skills you learn from the new flight model should be transferable because you at least have learned how stuff works. Do you see what I mean? So I'm very much looking forward to that. This year, lots of big stuff coming for Star Citizen. I mean, it is more getting the game in a significantly more polished state and all of the core of that game done. Getting most of the standard system finished off. Getting Squadron 42 already. There's some cool stuff there. Yeah, I mean, my excitement is always like a moderate level, always. I like the community, I like the project, I like what they show us. I wish there was a little bit more community content at the moment. The first quarter patch always feels the longest to me. Probably because we have like a big break after mid-December to like mid to end of January before like more content gets going again. So if CIG decided to consolidate Sitcon post-launch to one location, where do you think it would do it? And separately, where would you prefer they do it? As if it's not obvious. Obviously, the UK for me. I think what they'll do for their fan events is do them globally eventually. My expectations, if they do launch parties for Squadron 42, or if they do, because they're almost certainly going to do a launch party. It was rumored, and I was thinking about it going, they're probably going to do a launch party. Why fucking wouldn't they? But I think that CitizenCon might be a global affair. Like they'll run one in the same day in Austin, in LA, is it in LA now, their office, in Winslow / Manchester, and in Frankfurt. And then they'll sort of like go live to each of these stages around the world on the stream. That's the sort of stuff I expect. They've probably got enough fans to be able to make that work now. Maybe not this year. Probably not this year, but when they've got products to sell, when they've got Squadron 42 out, sort of thing. Bored, what do you think of this game glass for Star Citizen? I've been sent a early copy of it. I've been messing around with it. Seems pretty cool. I'm interested to see where it goes with it. It's a responsive MFD app, basically turning touchscreen devices, whatever your touchscreen device is, into a MFD for in-game use. It's a cool control pad that you can turn your tablet or whatever into. It's cool. Seems like it's going to be well supported. Love the idea of it. It's also going to be free for at least some of its functionality for Star Citizen. It's going to be available for other games as well. And you can pay a subscription fee or buy extra shards for it in the future to give you more functionality. But it's going to have a free version, so you can try it out. And for some people, that will be more than enough for what they need. So I like it because of that. As CIG mentioned, implementing banks in the persistent universe, a place where you can take out loans and invest your money. I'm thinking this would be useful for large orgs. No, they haven't. However, Chad, there is orgs that do that already in-game that you can apply to get loans from, and they have vast sums of Alpha UEC, which they want paid back pretty quickly. But you can, like, borrow a load of money to get a prospector and then pay them back within, like, a week. That is the idea. So eventually, I'm assuming they want to bankroll wars and things between orgs. Are there any updates on the HOTAS CIG proposed for the game that are especially for Star Citizen? Nope, no updates on that yet. Sandy last said a while ago that once Squadron 42 was out, that they would revisit that potentially. Ivan, thanks for what you do. Thank you very much for the super chat. I love your face. Mwah. Very much appreciated. Do you think there will be in the future systems that are not on the map? Yes. That we can find and then name. Don't know if we're about to name them ourselves, but maybe they'll be named after the character that finds them, whatever. Report them to the metrics or whatever, astronautics vision, and maybe you get to name them. Like, there are going to be, as far as I'm aware, hidden systems that we'll eventually find in game, or systems that they add in game which we won't know that are there until we find them. Right. Any other questiones? I'm going to go grab a drink real quick because I'm thirsty as sin, as I said earlier. I will be right back. Grab a drink of orange juice or something. Feel free to drop any more questions. I'll answer them. Maybe have a quick chat about some other bits. And then if there's nothing else, then I will go and rehost someone else. I love you guys very much, and I will be right back. Hello, I've returned. Oh, I apologise. Thank you for the chair worship. Sounds sexy. Oh. There was no peeing involved. It was all just getting delicious orange juice. Want to play some Apex Legends later? Yes, I will play some Apex Legends a little bit later on. I would love to play with you, Mr. Pinks. Can't find a free GG version. It's probably because it's not out yet properly. They released it a while ago under another name, and then they went down the more corporate business route. They saw sort of like a niche for it. So just wait a little while and then it'll be out. What sound will the 300R rework make? Meow. Yeah. Know that? I did the sounds for it. I went, Bored, do you want to do the sounds with your voice for the 300R? As obviously you've heard about it, that's why you asked that question. And oh my god, you're great. You're amazing at this. And I was like, yeah, if I do them for any other ship, do them for like a little buggy. Whatever ship you need, mate. When do you think they will be able to share missions in groups? And what are your thoughts on how it might work? Thanks for what you do. So they've actually talked about what they want to do for that. You'll form a group with people. The leader of the group will have access to any of the missions that anyone in that group has to share. When he shares that mission, it becomes the main mission or the current mission for everyone. That person leaves that has that mission, then at the moment their current thinking is that no one in the group can do it. It's like it leaves with that person. Obviously they want to make sure this isn't exploitable or whatever. Also, that should share the monetary gains for that mission between everyone, though the group leader might have the ability to do share percentages or whatever. We need a more robust contract system, really. We might get that form of mission sharing later this year. When you cook those steaks, what's your favourite method? Okay, so I do have sous vide, and I've just got the ability and just started sous videing things. What I prefer is for a large steak is reverse sear. So you cook it in the oven at a very low temperature for like 40 minutes or so, like a 2 inch and a half steak, and then pat it dry again and cast iron sear it. Bam bam. And the reverse sear method is sort of supposed to be the cheap man's way of doing a sous vide, but it gives a better sear in my opinion. However, you can still get good sear on sous vide because you pat it dry after you sous vide it and then still sear it. The Carrack might be a surprise launch at Sitcom. I mean, they might show it off at Sitcon, but it's currently marked for 3.8. But maybe. Will you be able to play as non-human alien races in the persistent universe once the home mode of these races are implemented? In the future, you may be able to play as a alien race. However, not in the short to medium term. Something that they are considering for the future. Oh, and yeah, a giant like potato head or egg or something, and people won't even know that I'm gone. I can put it in the chair when I move. I can be replaced with a stuffed animal. Don't you worry. Fueling sound. Nom 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 nom. How do you think AI crew will work? Will AI be more or less expensive, skilled than hiring a human? AI. There's going to be AI modules which you can put into turrets and systems that will run those in very derpily ways. There's going to be NPC crew, which will be better than AI modules. They will be able to do a range of things, but they'll basically be semi-restricted to their stations that you tell them they're going to be, or if they're part of a skeleton crew or whatever you've hired, they're sort of like probably stuff already semi-planned. I'm not sure how how much sort of like organization you'll be able to do with NPC crews on ships, or whether they just sort of like run the positions themselves. And you will be able to tell them to constantly be ready for combat, or give them time off or whatever. So NPCs will basically have stats which are affected by them being tired or not having access to food or whatever. So they can be combat ready all the time, but they're going to start to deteriorate if they haven't got time to rest. And NPCs are not supposed to be as good as humans. Humans are always going to be the best option. At least that's the plan. You could have very bad humans, I suppose, that are worse. Would you like to see a difference between traditional UEE trading and bounty trading? Because isn't it the latter supposed to be about negotiation? Player trading might be about negotiation. I don't know. We'll have to see how the economy is all going to work with that. I mean, the bounty merchant's going to have shops on board, but it's also got negotiation rooms and things. So maybe you will be able to negotiate with people for trades. And it'd be interesting if you can do that with NPCs, though I can't see a mechanic that would work for negotiating with NPCs. Max, how do I like my eggs in the morning? I like mine with a kiss. No. I like mine fried, runny still in the middle, but no snot. Boom. No snotty eggs, but runny yolk. Oh my god, runny yolk. The fucking way. With lift in 3.5, runways for larger ships are now more than ever possible. Capital ships would normally not land. I might be able to do so. No, town fit. I don't believe so. I think they're going to have just VTOLs and then use tractor beams to help them out and up and down into atmosphere. But I might be wrong. Maybe they will start to use wheels more for capital ships and stuff, but I just doubt it. Some capital ships aren't ever meant to go down to a planet either. With healing in the roadmap now, are there any update on the RSI Apollo? No. No updates on the Apollo. Will players eventually be able to set up a farming colony and do actual farming? That is the plan. There is going to be farming mechanics. They've talked about potentially being able to change the topsoil on planets as one of the only things you can really do to change the layout of the planets or change the ecosystem of the planet. There's the plan to be able to farm crops and stuff. If you had a choice of what to add to the Cutlass Black to make it more homely, would you have a toilet or a pastry machine sponsored by Greg's? I mean, you need to have the toilet if you're going to have the pastry machine, so you have to have the toilet first. Has there ever been concept art or any details on what the Carrack scout ship Pisces looks like or operates? No. We don't know. We know it's supposed to be a exploration geared snub. Scout geared snub for the Carrack, but we don't know anything more than that. What is your opinion on stupidly unrealistic plane combat, where two planes strafe right in a continuous circle shooting each other? Pretty unrealistic. We need to see what the new flight model's like. I need to see things in my hand and visualize and actually use them before I can comment on things like that. I think that strafing around each other, yeah, I think that is pretty unrealistic. Though it can be fun if done right, I suppose. Just not my idea of fun. I like the old. I like planes in space. A bit of it. I mean, I want 6 degrees of freedom as well. Any idea if civilians can acquire antimatter torpedoes? I'm not sure if antimatter exists in the game as a weapon source, power source, whatever. Crumpet or scone? Crumpet. Best answer is fertilized. Thanks. Right. My eggs. Oh, my eggs in the morning. I see. Do you think we'll ever get a Big Benny's uniform delivery ship skin in game? Yes, I do. Blatantly. Will agriculture be a detailed career mechanic? Yes, I believe so. Farming and agriculture, yep. Got modules on the Endeavour now. They've talked about farming before. Changing topsoil, biodomes, lots of different things. So, yeah. Right. I'm going to see who else is actually streaming at the moment. I'm going to probably go host them. So you could hire NPCs to man, defend, and probably operate an outpost that you built. So there will be outposts. That humans can build, and you can have NPCs there. But NPCs moving in, of their own volition, probably not. There might be NPC populations of like little villages and towns and shanty towns that might change over time, maybe. But they haven't really talked about that. As sort of like maybe. Oh. Hey, Bored. Everything is okay with you and your father? Yes, he's doing very well. My question is, with all the ships getting reworked, what are your thoughts on the Retaliator, with some of the community wanting a redesign? I suspect the Retaliator will get a light rework, materials updates, a little bit of a rebalance, but I don't expect it to get a full rework. It might, but I don't expect it. Are they going to fix the bug Benny vending machine? When I place it in my hangar, it faces the wall. Yes, I will fix that. Will you, as a player, or be able to terraform? Nope. I have to do some farming though. You'll have to change topsoil probably. Place biodomes maybe. Will Pioneer built outposts include hangars? We don't know. They've talked about landing pads that you might be able to build, and there's the potential for underground hangars, there's potential for overground hangars, but we don't know. Will Hangar Flare have any useful applications? Gameplay? Some of it might have, some Hangar Flare might have some function. Like there's going to be a jukebox, there's going to be the vending machine, things like that. So might have some in-game uses. Depends what the flare is. Right. You're going to go and Vertigo. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Very much appreciated. I love your faces very much. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate people giving me a bit of slack when it comes to the last couple of weeks, last few weeks with content. I've been a bit lackluster. Soon I'll be getting back on track with my Star Citizen content and stuff. It's been a bit of a strain with my dad having the operation and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to the doctor as well soon because I've got a dry patch in my mouth. I've been dizzy recently. I've got like weird little bubbly lumps in my mouth, and for some reason my brain's convinced me that it's oral cancer, but it's probably just that I've got a cold at the moment. But I suffer from anxiety and I'm bipolar depression, so I just worry about everything extremely. I have this like anxious, like, oh my god, everything's the worst, everything's clearly the worst, all my moles are cancerous on my body, that sort of thing. That's the sort of terrible weird shit worries that I have. But, thank you very much for watching. So I had a little rant there, but you know, these are the things I deal with every day, and they're very much first world problems. I'm glad that I'm able to manage and live in pretty relaxed, comfortable life. So thank you very much for helping me do that by watching my stuff and chatting on my streams. Very much appreciated. Are there any plans for Vandal Invasion events in the Persistent Universe? They haven't talked about them, but they will probably be these large story events, patch events, incursions, large mission arcs, big sort of like attack this Vandal base, or the Vandal attacking one of our bases, that sort of stuff. Is it possible we'll see black holes in game? Yeah, one of the systems has a black hole in them. Did they say anything about androids as NPCs? No, it's a non-robo universe, non-AI universe, sort of like android AI universe. You might see sort of like almost droid type things that are for manufacturing. They're like semi-droid robot-y things on like a manufacturing line that are building things, but you're not going to see droids walking around, at least not at the moment. Right. Love your faces, guys. We're going to give HC Vertigo some love. Take care. And I'll, boom. Thanks for all the donations. Thanks for all the love. Thanks for the feedback. And if you want to get through to me ever, you can get to me directly at contact@boredgamer.co.uk. Or you can come on my Discord, discord.gg/BoredGamer. and say hello, ask me questions, whatever. I'd love to hear from you. You take care, guys, and I'll see you in the verse. Peace. Woo. I don't know where to click. Here we go. Click in here. Bam.